The Wonderful 101 has to be one of the most underrated games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. It's unfortunate because what Platinum Games has done here is create a truly new and unique type of gameplay, complemented by a rewarding fighting system which makes the player feel smart. The game will challenge you and is bound to put a smile on your face. With all this praise then, why has it gotten such poor recognition? Well, to answer that, we'll have to take a closer look at what makes the Wonderful 101 just so wonderful. So what is the Wonderful 101 exactly? Well, there lies the game's main problem. The game is just so unorthodox and different that it's difficult to pitch the concept to the consumer. Throw in Japan's touch of wackiness, and you've got a game that looks and sounds ridiculous. However, this doesn't mean the game isn't fun, it just takes some getting used to. What we have here is an over-the-top action game that focuses on chaining combos together. The closest comparison I can make to another game would be Bayonetta, which is no surprise considering they have the same creator. In the game, you control the wonderful 100, a team of 100 Power Ranger-esque superheroes from all around the world. They have the ability to link their bodies into various weapons and objects, which is the foundation of the game's creative fighting system. The best way to think of this is comparing it to the Green Lantern's powers. However, all the shapes are made of people. Yeah, like I said, it's a very Japanese game. You form these weapons by drawing shapes either on the gamepad or with the right analog stick. So drawing your team into a line will form a giant sword made of people, or drawing a Z will form claws. You get the idea. There's a lot of different shapes and weapons to play around with, and just when you think you've unlocked every shape to contort your team in, you unlock a bunch more to test out on a horde of enemies. Everything from shield-grabbing whips to time-stopping bombs are at your disposal, and each weapon has a situation it's best used in. You'll notice very early on that this is a chaotic game, and it's almost always overwhelming the first time anyone plays it. There's an abundance of visual stimuli between the large amount of enemies on screen, plus the 100 superheroes you're controlling all at once. Combine this with the eye-popping focus on primary colors and the isometric camera angle, and you've got a game where some players can't even follow where they should be looking on the screen. This can be frustrating for a lot of players, but if you put the time in to actually learn how the game wants you to play, you'll be rewarded with the most adrenaline-inducing combat system you've ever experienced. When you get it down, it feels amazing, and you truly feel like one organic team of heroes against impossible odds. There's no denying that the learning curve for the combat is very steep, and many people have been confusing this steep learning curve for just poor controls or gameplay, but that's far from the case. It's simply a matter of getting used to a type of game you've never experienced before. You've probably noticed the game's interesting art style by now. The game is colorful and has a cheerful-like atmosphere. For this reason, it's easy to think it's a game for kids, but it's anything but. Despite what it may look like, this is a game made for truly hardcore gamers. It already has a steep learning curve, and the game isn't afraid to make you learn your lesson by sending a couple of deaths your way. To complement the visual style, the writing and story of the game feels like it was ripped right out of a Saturday morning cartoon. Sure, it's cheesy at times, but it's all intentional, and the game is constantly poking fun at itself. I really enjoyed this approach, and because of it, my entire experience with the game made me feel like a kid again. It's ironic, because the game looks kid-friendly, but I think it's more to bring the kid in older gamers out, and it definitely succeeds in doing this. It's important to note that there is a multiplayer mode, but although fun for a bit, it feels rather tacked on. There's a lot of potential here too, but there's simply not enough missions to tackle with a friend. Also, as responsive as the controls are, due to the sheer madness of the gameplay, you're bound to screw up drawing shapes in battle once in a while. When in a dire situation, this can be annoying, but it doesn't happen nearly as often as you'd think. Besides that, most of the complaints I've heard about this game are more about the player misunderstanding rather than the actual fault of the game itself. Sure, there are minor annoyances sprinkled throughout the game, such as poor camera controls when playing on the gamepad, but they aren't enough to deny what this game does so well, and that's giving the player the sensation of taking down colossal enemies in style.
To arms, Blunder Red!
Diplomacy has failed, Wonderful 100. Team, unite up!
It's rare that you come across a game nowadays that's so original yet so rewarding. This is a game that sets the bar higher and higher with each stage and leaves you on the edge of your seat. For these reasons, World 9 awards the Wonderful 101 a solid 9 out of 10. Platinum Games should be applauded for their work here, but they won't be. That's why it's up to us, the gamers, to show developers that a game such as this is wanted in the industry.
Dangers coming, looming large, so who's gonna make a stand? 100 Rangers are taking charge, the line is drawn in the sand. Knuckles crack in 200 very different ways, but each and every one has got the same thing to say.
Unite Morph!
Because their hearts beat as one.
Unite Can!
And put the bad guys on the run. When the job's too ominous for an average Jill or Joe, they go on the bus and watch their powers grow. Got no fame, no fortune to claim, fighting for the status quo. Don that mask and take us to task. Hurry now, it's time to go. They can do it, 'cause there's rulers, sisters, and bros. The unstoppable